and not really understanding what you said.
This conference is being recorded.
And it's something that what you feel, you know, have a different own. So let's talk to one another. Let's reason with one another on a scriptural discussion of the Son of Man. A live broadcast every Sunday at 12 noon on TV 33, FM 88.1 WHBR, and Comcast Cable. So why don't you call and let's discuss the Holy Bible, and if you have one, the Holy Quran, and come to an agreement about the Holy Scriptures and the truth. So tune in to a scriptural discussion with the Son of Man every Sunday at 12 noon, right here on TV 33, FM 88.1 WHBR, and Comcast Cable. You can call in live on the air at area code 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Of course, the area code is 313. That's 313-868-0336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. And now let's go live with the scriptural discussion of the Son of Man.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just, I greet all of you who have a sincere hunger and thirst for righteousness and truth, and desire to live uprightly. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace from the Lord of the worlds. May Allah's Salam Alaikum. I want you, brothers, that are my helpers, technicians, I would like you to make a clear copy of an introduction so that I can hear the numbers and all of the invite that the people have instead of it going up and down and fading in and out. You make a good promo, and I want that by tomorrow. It don't have to be nothing fancy, just something to make sure that if we're going to disseminate information to people, it ought to be audible. I was waiting on you to take care of it, but don't seem like you are conscious of it, so I'll say it, and I say it publicly. Because I know some people think that, as I've told you, there's a lot of things I see and hear. I don't say anything, but that does not mean that I don't see it and hear it. Before I get into more of what's about to happen to everybody, I want to, for one more time publicly, pay respect to my brother, Muhammad Ali. Because even now, as I was listening to people, you know, echo the sentiments that, I am Ali. No one can make that case greater than those of us who was raised up to consciousness by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right along with Ali. And it's not just a, I don't say that in vanity. The very thing that I'm out here doing now in this field of religion is what Muhammad Ali did in the field of boxing. He took all comers until he proved that he was the greatest one. The scripture didn't tell me to come here like you would like me to be doing and go along with everybody and get along to get by. The scripture says, in righteousness he doth judge and make war. It is, if all of the human beings on the planet got together and told me that I'm doing the wrong thing by telling people that all their religions are false, if that was an insult, why isn't anyone coming in here telling me that I've insulted them? It's not an insult to tell people the truth. What is an insult is when you ignore God when he's talking to you. You're about to be paid for that. So I'm going to, I really think, how many of you all was with us when we was headed to Detroit and our bus had engine, one of the injectors, one or a couple of the injectors messed up and started dumping diesel into the crankcase. Who was all, how many of y'all in here was with me then, with us then? And we had to pull off in Louisville. When we got up to the sign that said Louisville, Kentucky. And you remember when the police officer came? And you remember when the people whose house we stopped in front of came out when they saw all of the sisters and brothers standing outside? And they invited us into their homes. And they were white people. And the police officer came. He did not frisk anyone. He did not ask anyone for ID. He simply asked, may I help you? Is there something that I can do to help you? And he was white. Remember that? And he put me in his car when I told him, yes, I need to pick up some parts. Took me to the parts store, sat out there and waited, brought me back, and said, if there's anything else you need, I'll be on duty for another. And he told me another few hours. He said, and I'll check back with you all to make sure you're all right. And I thanked him, and he left, and he kept his word. And so today when I forgot we was in Kentucky. I didn't know Missouri. We was in Kentucky. And I was looking at the people who came to honor Brother Muhammad Ali. And the whole city of Louisville, the whole place seemed to be in mourning. And I was listening to this one, I was listening to all of them, but as a few of them, it struck me that the honor that they were showing him was not superficial. It was real. Because it finally dawned on me that was Muhammad Ali's hometown. And they respected Muslims. They respected him there. And that's one of the bridges that he helped build that I got a chance to cross. And it was nobody looking at us as enemies, but as human beings. And so he carried the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad with dignity. Even though many would like to rewrite history now and make it look like he was carrying some other people's teachings. But the teachings of Islam that I'm carrying to you, it came from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, just like Muhammad Ali. And anyone that says different is just lying and trying to rewrite history. Do you understand me? And that's not an insult. That's just a fact. And I want you to hear how so many people, when they're recalling him as he was when he was following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Do you understand? Well, listen. Give me a minute. Let me get everything hooked up so that everybody can hear.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Ramsey. First of all, on behalf of my fellow Louisvillians, to the Ali family, we offer our condolences, our heartfelt prayers, and for Lonnie Ali, a very special prayer. We know that Muhammad was blessed with many gifts, but none more precious than Lonnie Ali, and we thank you so much. You know, I've got to tell you, Louisville, when I was in the procession today and I saw the tens of thousands of people and all the warmth and the love and the respect that was shown for Muhammad, I got to tell you, my heart swelled with pride. I know he was watching from above. And
Now, before I let him continue, it's certain things you can't fake. You notice, now he looks like he's a Caucasian. But you notice, he didn't say Muhammad. He said Muhammad. They have a saying that in sales, when they teaching you how to sell, if you've ever been a salesman and really was into it, then you had seminars on selling. And they teach you that one of the sweetest sounds to any person is the sound of their name. It don't mean what a lot of them think. It don't mean people want to keep on hearing you say their name, getting on a first name basis with somebody who you don't really know. But one of the things that annoys any person more than anything is for you to mispronounce their name. You notice if you mispronounce uh, people's names, if you look at them, you can tell that it annoyed them, the average person. Because most people in this world, they wear their feelings on their sleeve. In other words, they don't hide their feelings. They don't really know how to hide their feelings. You have to have quite a bit of self-control to hide your feelings. And many times people will say, they will tell you, no, it's not that, it is this. And they'll teach you how to pronounce their name. And then you know that their name means something. Their name means something to them. And it's disrespectful to purposely, it's disrespectful to mispronounce people's name anyway. And if they tell you that you've mispronounced it, you ought to try to get it right. That's why you hear me when I'm reciting people's name and I say, please excuse me if I didn't properly, say your name. And please tell me how to pronounce it when you start speaking, because it's not done on purpose. But anyway, as I was listening to that young man, you can tell he didn't just get up there and he didn't just get up there and start talking and saying a bunch of empty platitudes. He pulled you into his conversation. At least he pulled me into it. I was sitting up there. For some of them, I was about to start clapping along with the with the audience, sitting up here watching it by myself. I had to laugh at myself. But and Billy Crystal and some of the others that were there, Brian Gumble. I especially want you to pay attention to Brian Gumble. And the president, President Clinton, he was the last one that spoke. And I appreciated the fact that he just showed up there. Because Muhammad Ali had said that he would like him. He told them to get in contact with him. Now, how was he able to get in contact with them if the friendship was not real? They wouldn't have had no way to get in contact with him. I told you, when people care about you, when people think something of you or respect you, you can call them. I told you, most people in this country don't know. They don't really know how to determine when someone really cares for them. That's why they always make bad choices. They always go with the person whose words are the most flattering, rather than the person who is a true friend who would just tell you the truth and help you as much as they can. But anyway, I want you to listen to this.
No, he absolutely loved it. Yeah. But I don't think he'd be surprised. I think Muhammad would say, Louisville, Kentucky is the greatest city of all times. I'm feeling good. Man, I'll tell you what, how can we lose with the stuff we use? I'm feeling so good, I think I'm going to make a comeback and change my name back to Walnut Street. That's how good I feel. You know, for me, I always felt connected to Muhammad even before I'd met him. You know, maybe it was the fact that I was a Louisville boy. Maybe it's the fact that I love the Louisville Cardinals, like Muhammad. You know, but as our relationship evolved, I found that a lot of people felt this personal connection with Muhammad. And that's part of the Ali magic. You know, initially, for a lot of men my age, and certainly myself, it was the athlete that I was attracted to. I mean, that kind of size, that kind of speed, that agility, that grace, not only made him the heavyweight champion of the world 3 times, but it made him Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Century, the AP Athlete of the Century. Certainly it made him the athlete, a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. But I would argue that the combination of compassion, kindness, love, and the ability to lift us up made him a once-in-a-lifetime person.
Now, as I was listening to that, I was thinking about why if you want to know why we who were in the Nation of Islam when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was here, why we used to start clapping and just saying, all praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It is because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad helped us. He brought us in to his circle. Not to make himself look good, but he wanted to make us look good. He wanted to show us that inside of us was great things. And if you notice the things that like the heavyweight champion of the world, how did he get to be all of those things with Time magazine and some of the Sports Illustrated and all of that kind of thing? It wasn't just because he was the heavyweight champion, because there's been a lot of heavyweight champions that hadn't been declared no man of no year or man of the century, athlete of no century, and all of that kind of thing. The reason that he got that was because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us what manhood is. And Muhammad Ali exemplified that. He didn't just, I mean, you know, he didn't get the nonviolent from the Orthodox world, because you see what they're doing right now. He got nonviolent and to trust in God. He got that from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, just like I did. I learned how to field strip an M14 rifle. I learned how to repair everything from a 50 caliber to the M79 grenade launcher. And all of that, I learned that in the Marine Corps. I learned all about weapons in the Marine Corps. I learned to put them down in the Nation of Islam. And I'm not going to let you forget that. Muhammad Ali didn't let you forget that. You never heard him speak a word against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, ever. Because that's the kind of man he was. Even when he started following W.D. Muhammad, he didn't start talking the messenger down like them boys did. That's why I'm standing up here honoring him today. He showed me what you're supposed to do. You know, it was one thing for the messenger. The messenger was teaching, but I never met the messenger personally. And I never, he was not as what you hardly ever saw him in the media. They didn't hold him out in front of us. And it was him that told Muhammad Ali to wait. You know, the people around him made sure you wait until you've become the champion before you start telling people you're a Muslim. Once he became the champion and told them, don't call me Cassius Clay no more, but Muhammad Ali. And the proverbial boo-boo hit the fan from that point on. Then you got a chance. See, you can say anything if you know how to say it. It's not that is a statement that people know what it means, but it is not worthy of a diplomat or of a wise man to speak in the language of foolish people. Do you understand? So you can say things even when you reaching them. It's a way to say a thing that is acceptable and understandable without vulgarity. Do you understand? Because if you put a fan up behind Boo Boo and just let it blow, it's going to smell up your whole house, and you know people are going to be frowning and going on. That's what that means. It means it creates a frown on people's face. It is something that is disliked. Do you understand? Okay. So as you look at that audience, it's just as many Caucasians in that audience or more than it was black people. And whether you realize it or not, whether any of you want to admit to it or not, you cannot honor a student for his accomplishments and say that his teacher was no good. For the student is the product of who taught him. Do you understand? So I want you to always remember that. I don't think any of you can show not one instance where Muhammad Ali ever said anything disrespectful about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I know that you know that it wasn't because he was scared of somebody. You know, that's one of the things that makes me understand how much of a man he really was. Because that's one of the first signs of true manhood. A true man will never return evil in exchange for good that someone did for him. Just like me. You think I don't know things about my own daddy that may not have been too above board? But I certainly ain't gonna get out here and be airing that to you. That ain't none of your business. My daddy loved me. And that's not to say that there was something about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that could be aired that wasn't no good. Wasn't nothing that you can air about him that wasn't good. May not have been understood by you. But the word of God upheld him. So I, brother Ali was faithful. And he was an example for me. Before I even knew anything, I had never even heard of Islam. That's hard to believe, but it's true. I had never even heard the word Islam when he was declaring himself Muhammad Ali. I still didn't know. I heard Muslim, but I had never heard them. They just said a Muslim religion, and that's what I heard. And it sounds strange and foreign to me, and I wasn't interested in it because it wasn't time for me to be interested in it. I was just fixated on this brother that everybody said had a big mouth that need to be whooped. And I say, I don't think he need to be whooped. I like what he was saying. He was standing up to people and telling people where to get off and telling them what he could do. And he did it. And that made me, I admired him. And after a while, I went on and joined the Marines and all that stuff, and then he really, when they tried to make him go to be drafted and whatnot, I was on his side in that. I mean, if he don't want to go in, well, he don't need to go in. That man don't have to come. Yeah, I'm here. That's why we're here. So he can choose. You look kind of strange calling a man that could whoop you down up one side of the street and down the other, calling him a coward. Go to him and call him that. That man wasn't no coward. That man was a man. And he told you he don't believe in going killing people. Then later on, I knew where he got it from when I heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad say he don't care who he is and where he may be from, how wise he is. He ain't wise enough yet to tell me to go to Vietnam and kill somebody. Matter of fact, I'm not afraid to tell him to go jump in the lake. because a very fiery lake is prepared for it. You see? And that little man, he's a little over 5 feet tall. Took men that, big men that had no real manhood in them. And he cultivated the manhood that had been put to sleep in us. He said, look, the minute you accept what I'm teaching, Allah promised that he would remove your fear and you shall not grieve. Don't nobody know that better than me. When I accepted Islam for the first time in a long time, I could walk around, didn't think I needed no pistol, didn't think I needed nothing, and I could hear loud noises and wouldn't jump. And I was where I belong. And you stand for what you say you stand for. That's why I told you I would much rather an honest enemy than a dishonest friend. If a man just that's why I got no respect. I got much more respect for David Duke than I do for Donald Trump. Why don't he just go on and tell people he's KKK and give them a chance to elect what they want, if that's what they want. But all of you want to pretend that you don't know he's a racist and don't know, and then he go through the pretending and going, you ain't no man. I'm a Muslim. I'm a Muslim 24/7. And I'm not going to hide from you. And if me being a Muslim cost me my life, well, surely my prayers, my sacrifice, my life, and my death is all for Allah. And you needn't think I'm saying that because I'm here with y'all. I moved here and wasn't nobody but me and my little children and wife. And I told them and anybody else who asked me, God don't stop being God when I hit the Mississippi Bridge. If he's God over Los Angeles, he's God over Mississippi and any place else I go. You know who helped me to come to that? Ali did. By example. It's always nice to have an example. They teach you that in school. They give you math problems, they give you an example. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we are making an example for you. There they are. Yes. But Allah don't like people who wishy-washy. He don't like people who only with him as long as they ain't got to give up nothing. He like people that's like Job. Job was in for a penny and in for a pound. Didn't make no difference to him. He wasn't there for what he could get. He was there for who he had faith and trust in. And so this is that is a greater testament to him and to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teaching of him. You say he's a man of peace. Who taught him to be that? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to be peaceful people. Anyone who ever visited Muhammad's temple, you know what they heard before they left? Yeah, they heard the white man is the devil, and they heard all of that. And before they left, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would tell them, he said, the minister would always say, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to always go in the way of peace and never be the aggressor upon any man. But if you are attacked, then you fight with those that fight with you. And if and when they cease fighting with you, cease fighting with them. Even when I was in elementary school, I got in fights. I remember I hit a person, knock him down. I didn't go over there. I stood back and let him get up. Brother knocked me down. You can come over there to kick and go all that. He stepped back and let you get up and see if you want to keep fighting. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said Islam is the black man's nature, I thought he was talking about all of us. But he was talking about one in particular. Because I never did, even when I started seeing people stomping and kicking people, I never could go along with that. If the man can't fight you back, what you keep on fighting him for? What is wrong with you? But that's that hateful mind of our enslaver that he put in us. The difference is that, you see, I know that his skin had nothing to do with it. That's why I can talk about decent white people, and then I can talk about the ones who enslaved us and mistreat us and still want to do that. And you think that I somehow, I'm playing both sides of the fence. No, you think that I'm about racism, and I'm not about racism. That's what you are about. I'm about justice. That's why ain't nothing coming on you that I ain't warning you first. You ain't gonna say that this is wrong. That why do me like that? No, I warned you. You should have listened. Ain't my fault you too proud to listen. That's your fault. Son of man, they all rebellious out. They ain't gonna hear you because they won't hear me. Yeah, I'm telling the man the word of God says that. Man don't care nothing about no word of God. Telling him the word of God. To me, when you say the word of God, that's the same as my little brother coming up to me saying, Daddy said, I immediately stopped and listened. You tell me the word of God say something, you just got my attention. When I tell it to you, I just lost your attention. Okay. But anyway, I'm trying not to keep cutting him off, but just listen.
Muhammad was blessed with many gifts, as I said, and he was a wise and faithful steward of those gifts. There's many stories about Muhammad, but there's a couple that really, to me, encapsulate what he was all about. I remember back in 2000, I made a trip to the Summer Olympics with Muhammad, and one day he decided we were going to go see a boxing match. And I remember we're ringside, the American wins, 15,000 people are chanting, USA, USA.
And I thought, this is my Olympic moment. You know, I was filled with patriotic pride. The boxer came down from the ring. He took the obligatory picture with Muhammad, the fist-to-chin shot. Hundreds of photographers from around the world were taking pictures. You know, thousands of people cheering for Muhammad and this victorious fighter. And then Muhammad leaned down to me, whispered in my ear, said, I want to see the loser. I said, excuse me? I want to see the loser. So I motioned over to an Olympic official and I said, you know, Muhammad wants to see the loser. Can we go to the losing locker room? And we get to the losing locker room, and there's not tens of thousands of people. There's not any photographers. There's just a kid in the corner on a stool. He's got a towel around his neck. He's got a bloody mouth under his eye. This has got to be the lowest point of his athletic career at the very least. Felt like he let down his country. He's defeated. And the vibe in that room was literally the lowest of low. But then when Muhammad walks in, this kid recognizes him instantly. And in broken English, he says, Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad started dancing. He says, show me what you got, man. Show me what. And Muhammad starts throwing out jabs, and this kid starts ducking and smiling. Muhammad grabs him in a bear hug. And he said, I saw what you did out there, man. You look good. Man, you're moving good. You can be a champion, man. You don't give up. And I remember it warmed my heart how he took this kid from here to here in an instant. And I remember I got in the car and I said to Muhammad, I try to be a nice guy, but I've got to tell you, I was caught up in the moment. I didn't give that losing fighter a second thought. I said, Muhammad, you're the greatest. Muhammad said, tell me something I don't already know. And so what I don't want people to forget, no doubt, to me, he is the finest example of a human that I've ever seen. The finest example of a great human being that I've ever seen, of the kindness that a human possesses. That was Muhammad Ali. But don't forget about this, man. Muhammad was the coolest cat in the room. I mean, he was good looking, he had charm, he had charisma, he had swagger before we knew what swagger was. I mean, I remember went to, when it was about 25 years ago, he came in town to visit his mother, and he wanted to go to Outback Steakhouse. Had a friend there who was a big Muhammad fan. So we come in, and at the time here in Louisville, there was a fireman's convention. And all of these guys had their engine numbers on their shirt, and sure enough, I'd seen this scene a million times, man. These guys line up for an autograph, and I said to Muhammad, if you'd like, I'll play the bad guy. And I'll tell him to let you eat, and you can sign autographs later. Muhammad would have none of it. He's like, no, I'll sign between bites. So he's taking bites of his food, and he's signing. This one guy walked up, and you can tell he's a big fan. I mean, he knew Muhammad. He was scared to death. All this adrenaline flowing. He said, champ, he said, I saw the stance you made in the civil rights movement. I saw your stance against the Vietnam War. He said, I've got to tell you, champ, you're my hero. He said, I've got a picture of you at the firehouse. You're my hero. Muhammad instantly, he wanted to change the channel. So he said to the guy, he said, you know, you're the real hero, jumping in fires, saving lives, saving babies, putting your life on the line. He said, man, you're the real hero. And the fireman responds real quickly. I mean, he knew all the nicknames. He said, man, but you fought the bear, Sonny Liston. He says, you fought the rabbit, Floyd Patterson.
You see, Muhammad Ali understood the teachings. Whenever people would compliment the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he would say, praises be to Allah. And then he would say, I'm just a reflection of yourself, brother. And that's because he really meant it. And we mean it. There are no big eyes and little U's in Islam. We are not a people who think we are big eyes. We think we are little U's and not big eyes. When you see us stand for something, that's not trying to be big eye. It's simply being what God made us, a man. And Muhammad Ali, he was taught the same thing we all were taught. You know, don't make yourself look good while allowing someone else to make themselves look less than you. You know, that's the one thing that you should, if you want to be at peace, how are you going to do that if everybody around you is nervous and upset? If you want to be at peace, make peace around you. I know how it feels to look at yourself and not love what you see. That's what slavery did to the experience of being in slavery did to me as a black man. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught me to like myself. Just a simple thing by saying, I'm just a reflection of you. You, you the one. And he knew I didn't believe it at first, but he knew I would grow to agree with him. Just like he showed every one of us who trusted him and followed him. He showed us that there was something inside of us that we could be proud of. In order for a man to really reach his potential, you have to tell him to get up and walk. Stop looking for somebody to carry you. Handle your business. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, like Jesus said to Lazarus, take up your bed and walk. And we realized that we could. When we knew anything, we was going and doing business with nations. The whole world's eyes was on the once slaves of America, because they saw a man who everybody thought had just became a permanent tool for other people. Take his manhood back. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad made Malcolm X, Louis Farrakhan, WD, Muhammad Ali, Silas, myself, Royal, all of the ones who have been out here teaching have the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in common. And he said one of us would say be and bring in a new world, and we would have something different than this present world. And he said one of us would be that teaching that he gave us. But we all have him in common. And, You don't know Abdul Kareem, but I do. Abdul Rahman, I knew him. You know, I didn't know him personally like you. I didn't know Muhammad Ali personally, but we have the same teaching. And the more you watch what he did, the more you understand what you see me do. He didn't hide from those who challenged him. He came out and met them. You find me doing the same, which lets you know that he and I are cut from the same mold. And because we had the same teacher, we had the same root, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, Allah does not like cowards. He said, and neither do I. You can't be a coward and follow me. That's what he said. That's why when people was talking about, this, they think Muslims is terrorists and they think Muslims this, so you better not, you need to kind of keep a low profile. I said, I'm not hiding from nobody. But I look like running around here talking about I believe in Allah and I got to hide from the devil. No. Muhammad Ali helped teach me that by example. He helped to reaffirm that in me. I'd be ashamed to call him my brother if I had been out here hiding. No. So, but this young man really spoke well of him. And you can tell those memories are real that he relating that. Anyone can go and rejoice after victory. But I remember I was told that George Patton was he was kind of racist. But that still does not detract from the fact that the man, he was what he was taught to be. But the thing is, certain things you can't be taught. And they don't teach you in the military to have pity on your enemy. But when George Patton was in war, I think he understood much more than people gave him credit for, even the people who was fighting them wars. He actually knew that it was all a game. It's the ultimate game, but it's just a game. They fighting over what? Who's going to have authority? So when he went to a prison camp where German soldiers were, and they were just milling around out there, and the captains and colonels and whatever their rank was, they were demoralized. And he did with them what Ali did with that fighter. Patton told him, he asked him, who's in charge here? And he said, say, get these men in formation and you're soldiers, act like it. Man stuck his chest out and he realized that just because you lose a war, if you fought your hardest, you have nothing to be ashamed of if you vanquished by someone who was better at it than you. Only a fool resents getting bested by someone who actually is better. Because if he had any sense, that's his next teacher. But anyway, you can't hardly talk to fools. That's why chastisement. Yes, you can't talk to a child because he's not reasonable. He don't have nothing up there to reason with. So the only reason he understands is pain on his behind. Do you understand? Okay. So, but let's hear some more.
You fought Big George Foreman. You fought Smoking Joe Frazier. Muhammad interrupted him real quick and he goes, yeah, but Joe wasn't really smoking. And I said, Muhammad, that's a good line. He goes, you're right, write that down.
But the main thing was, this man was a firefighter admiring Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali reminded him that you're a hero yourself. He wasn't lying to him. Talking about jumping in the ring with Joe Frazier, whatever. But Joe Frazier can't burn me to death. That's what he was letting him know. No. We both can shine. And saying you shines too. So don't sell yourself short. I don't ever want people to forget we don't let people forget their value by over declaring ours. I told you that's not really but one family on the earth. It's the human family. And we all have our gifts. To whom much is given, much is required. To whom little is given, little is required. But every man that gives according to his gifts, if he's given everything according to his gifts, then that makes him equal to everybody else. Because he's doing all he can with what he has for the benefit of his family, the human family. It's like that quote on the, I was looking at the Twilight Zone where the man was contemplating suicide because he didn't think he had affected anyone, because he went and read this sign on a plaque underneath a famous man that, and the quote said, "Be ashamed to die until you have gained some victory for humanity." And he couldn't think of nothing that he had done in his mind. But even that is a lesson. If you become habitually a doer of good things for people, something you're going to discover is that the good that you do, you don't remember. How many times have you seen a person with a habit and they'll be sitting up doing it and you say, stop that. They say, stop what? And say, bang it on that table like that. So, oh, excuse me, that's a habit of mine. But they do it unconsciously. When you get to the point where you just do good for people and without having to think about it, you won't remember the good that you do. Just like if you get in the habit of doing evil to people, you won't remember the evil that you do because it's a habit. But it will follow you wherever you go. And everywhere you go, someone will either be thanking you or accusing you. And you'll be trying to figure out what they're talking about. But with that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and all of the prophets were trying to get us to do. Not as people do to you, but what you would like them to do to you. Notice, Muhammad, he didn't just say, I'm not going in the military. He told them why. And he didn't. They said, well, would you like conscientious objector status? Well, that have nothing to do with nothing. They supposed to know when he gives them his reasoning. I'm not going in there because in the first place, ain't no Viet Cong ever called me nigger. And in the last place, you want me to go up over there and put my life on the line for you, and you won't even stand up for my rights here in America. Slaves don't talk like that, but ex-slaves did. You couldn't keep a slave mind and follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And that's the difference in Muhammad Ali and many others who were champions of the world and whatnot. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad made us free, set our minds to thinking instead of just regurgitating what they were told. So that is why, we can all, when you've seen one Muslim, you've seen us all. That's why I can tell you, and I don't have no fear of saying it. The only Islam that actually exists is that which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad laid the foundation for, which is what I'm teaching. For everything that the good that you saw Ali, the things that you see me doing are things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us in Islam that we should do. We uplift people. We don't push people down. We raise people up. Sometimes we have to hurt people's feelings in order to raise them up. But we try to remember to put a little salve on it so it don't hurt too much. You notice when we fuss at people and they come back talking like they understand and got some sense, and they go to apologize, I say, you ain't got to keep on saying you sorry. You ain't got to do that. No, I just wanted you to correct yourself. I didn't need you to be groveling to me. You ain't got to grovel to me. Allah didn't make me grovel to him. So no, I don't need no groveling. Long as you understand now that you were wrong and you correcting yourself, as far as I'm concerned, it never happened. It's just that simple. Wouldn't you like people to do you like that? Well, then that's how you should do people.
It's all about signing autographs and kissing babies. You know, if there was a village that needed food in a third world country, Muhammad was on plane, will travel with check. If there was a conflict and he could be part of a resolution, again, Muhammad will travel. As Lonnie had mentioned, if there were hostages to be released, Muhammad was a man of action. One of my favorite quotes, and I think it's right here in your program, Muhammad said, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." And I just want to say, champ, your rent is paid in full. Your rent is paid in full. Your rent is paid in full. You know, in fact, I think he's paid it forward because he has taught us to love rather than to hate, to look for commonalities rather than differences. And so therefore, I think he's really paid it forward for all of us. So, as we all know now, you know, the fight is over, but I'm here to tell you, the decision is in, and it is unanimous. Because of Muhammad Ali, we all win. The world wins. Thank you so much, Muhammad. It is time for a man of peace to rest in peace, and thank you so very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the halfway point. I was clean shaven when this started. Dear Lonnie, family, friends, Mr. President, members of the clergy, all these amazing people here in Louisville. Today, this outpouring of love and respect proves that 35 years after we stopped fighting, he is still the champion of the world. Last week, when we heard the news, time stopped. There was no war, there were no terrorists, no global catastrophes. The world stopped, took a deep breath, and sighed. Since then, my mind has been racing through my relationship with this amazing man, which is now 42 years that I know him. Every moment I can think of is cherished, and while others can tell you of his accomplishments, he wanted me to speak and tell you of some personal moments that we had together. I met him in 1974. I was just getting started as a stand-up comedian and struggling, but I had one good routine. It was a 3-minute conversation between Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali, where I would imitate both of them. Ali had just defeated George Foreman and regained the heavyweight title. Sport magazine made him the man of the year, and Dick Schaap, a wonderful writer and a great man, was the editor for Sport, and he was going to host this televised dinner honoring Muhammad Ali. So Dick called my agent looking for a comedian who did some sports material. As fate would have it, that comedian was not available, and she wisely said, "It's destiny, man." And she wisely said, "Listen, I got this young kid, and he does this great imitation of Ali, and Cosell would be perfect for you." I don't know why, but Dick said, "Okay, I'll try him. If he thinks I can cut him out of the show." I couldn't believe it. My first time on television, and it would be with Ali. I arrived at the Plaza Hotel. The event was jammed. I met Mr. Schaap, who would later become a part of my family. And he said, "Well, how should I introduce you? Nobody knows who you are." And I said, "Just say one of Ali's closest and dearest friends." And my thought was, I'll get right to the microphone, go into my Howard Cosell, and I'll be fine. And then I nervously move into the jammed ballroom, and that's when I saw him for the first time in person. It's very hard to describe how much he meant to me. You had to live in his time. It's great to look at clips, and it's amazing that we have them, but to live in his time, watching his fights, experiencing the genius of his talent was absolutely extraordinary. Every one of his fights was an aura of a Super Bowl. He did things nobody would do. He predicted the round that he would knock somebody out, and then he would do it. He was funny. He was beautiful. He was the most perfect athlete you ever saw, and those were his own words. But he was so much more than a fighter as time went on. With Bobby Kennedy gone, Martin Luther King gone, Malcolm X gone, who was there to relate to when Vietnam exploded in our face? There were millions of young men my age, eligible for the draft to a war that we didn't believe in, all of us huddled on the conveyor belt that was rapidly feeding the war machine. But it was Ali who stood up for us by standing up for himself. And after he was stripped of the title, and the right to fight anywhere in the world, he gave speeches at colleges and on television that totally reached me. He seemed as comfortable talking to kings and queens as the lost and unrequited. He never lost his sense of humor, even as he lost everything else. He was always himself, willing to give up everything for what he believed in. And his passionate rhetoric about the life and plight of black people in our country resonated strongly in my house. I grew up in a house that was dedicated to civil rights. My father was a producer of jazz concerts in New York City and was one of the first to integrate bands in the 40s and 50s. Jazz musicians referred to my dad as the Branch Rickey of jazz. My uncle and my family, Jewish people, produced Strange Fruit, Billie Holiday's classic song describing the lynching of African Americans in this country. And so I felt him. And now there he was, just a few feet from me. I couldn't stop looking at him, and he seemed to like glow. And he was like in slow motion, his amazing face, smiling and laughing. I was seated a few seats from him on the dais. And in the room were all of these athletes in their individual sports, great ones. Gino Marchetti of the Baltimore Colts, Franco Harris of the Steelers, Archie Griffin, who had won the Heisman from Ohio State, literary legends, Neil Simon, George Plimpton, all on the dais, fawning over Ali, who then looked at me with an expression that seemed to say, "What is Joel Gray doing here?" Mr. Schaap introduced me as one of Ali's closest and dearest friends. Two people clapped. My wife and the agent. I rose, Ali still staring at me. I passed right behind him, got to the podium, went right into the Cosell. Hello, everyone. Howard Cosell coming to you live from Zaire. Some would pronounce it Zaire. They're wrong. It got big laughs. And then I went into the Ali. Everybody's talking about George Foreman. I want to talk about George Foreman. George Foreman was ugly. He's so slow. George was slow. I go, boop, boop, boop. And then I rope-a-dope George, and I'm so fast at 33 years of age. I'm so fast I can turn up the lights, be in my bed before the room gets dark. Howard, I'm announcing tonight that I got new religious beliefs. From now on, I want to be known as Izzy Yiskowitz. I am now an Orthodox Jew. Izzy Yiskowitz, I am the greatest of all time. The audience exploded. See, no one had ever done him before. And here he was, a white kid from Long Island, imitating the greatest of all time, and he was loving it. When I was done, he gave me this big bear hug, and he whispered in my ear, "You're my little brother." Which is what he always called me until the last time that I saw him. We were always there for each other. If he needed me for something, I was there. He came to anything I asked him to do. Most memorable, he was an honorary chairman for a dinner and a very important event where I was being honored by the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. He did all of his promotion for it. He came to the dinner. He sat with my family the entire evening. He took photographs with everybody, the most famous Muslim men in the world, honoring his Jewish friend. And because he was there, we raised a great deal of money, and I was able to use it to endow the university in Jerusalem with something that I told him about. And it was something that he loved the theory of, and it thrives to this day. It's called Peace Through the Performing Arts. It's a theater group where Israeli, Arab, and Palestinian actors, writers, and directors all work together in peace, creating original works of art. And that doesn't happen without him. I had so many funny, unusual moments with him. I sat next to him at Howard Cosell's funeral. A very somber day, to be sure. Closed casket was on the stage. Muhammad and I were sitting somewhere over there next to each other. And he quietly whispered to me, "Little brother, do you think he's wearing his hairpiece?" So I said, I don't think so.
Now, you know, if you didn't know the history of Muhammad Ali and Howard Cosell, you would think that that was disrespectful. But that was the kind of relationship that him and Howard had. He used to take jabs at Howard about his head, about his dude. Because Howard had a toupee that it looked pretty rough, and Ali would make fun of him, and him and Howard had a they had a friendship and a respect for one another. I remember the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He taught me what a Muslim is, and a Muslim is not a Muslim in name. A Muslim is a Muslim in his actions. A Muslim is when you say I'm a Muslim, what you are actually saying is that I am one who surrenders to God. Most people in this world, they wear that name as a label. Muslim is not a label. It's the state of the mind of a being. That's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he reiterated that in 74 in his last message to us and to the world. He said, concerning America, he said, this is their house, talking about white people. And we are here teaching the truth. They're not objecting to you teaching the truth. As we have white Muslims in America, white people who submit to God, and lots of them. We have them all over the earth. And they recognize and respect you. There's a good example right there. You must recognize and respect them. You see, that is the thing that your brother and your sister, are they that do the will of your Father, not they that label themselves as your brother. If you are Abraham's children, you do the works of Abraham. Abraham named us Muslim, ones who do what he did, submitted himself totally to God. You see, you think you have the right to mistreat people because you don't like them? No, you do not have that right. God said, as you would like men to do to you, you do that to them. And if you say, well, they mistreat me, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I will repay. Do that sound like go get them? All right then. You just be righteous. Let Allah fix those who mistreat you. Okay? All right.
Well, then how will God recognize him? Do you think he's wearing his hairpiece? So I said, I don't think so. Well, then how will God recognize him? So I said, champ, once he opens his mouth, God will know. So we started laughing. It was a muffled laugh at first, but then we couldn't contain ourselves. Here we were at a funeral, me with Muhammad Ali laughing like two little kids who heard something dirty in church. You know, we're just laughing and laughing. And then he looked at me and he whispered, Howard was a good man. One time he asked me if I would like to run with him one morning, do road work with him. I said, well, that'd be amazing. Where do you run? He said, well, I run at this country club, and I run on the golf course early in the morning. It's very private. Nobody bothers me. We'll have a great time. I said, champ, I can't run there. The club has a reputation for being restricted. What does restricted mean? They don't allow Jews there. They don't have any Jewish members. He was incensed. I'm a black Muslim, and they let me run there. Little brother, I'm never going to run there again. And he didn't. My favorite memory perhaps was 1979. He had just retired, and there was a retirement party.
I think I need to say something about that. One of the shrewdest tricks that the devil plays on us, the devil that we carry around in our head, which we didn't know that's who been ruling us. One of the shrewdest tricks he played was to teach divide the believers in the Word of God by giving us nicknames. If you believe in one prophet, if you truly believe in one prophet, you'd have to believe in all. Because all of them got their inspiration, their scriptures that they brought. They got it from the same God. So the devil divides God's house against itself. So it's written, I have other sheep that are not of this fold, and I must bring them also. Remember, it says he gathered them all together in a place in the Hebrew tongue called what? I must bring them also. That there may be one sheepfold. Make them realize that any person who submits to God truly is your brother and your sister. And once you understand that, then you drop the labels and you call yourself what you are. One who submits to God. There happens to be a word for that. Muslim. You have nothing to feel ashamed of to refer to yourself as Muslim. And once you really understand that, then it becomes clear to you, very clear, when someone claims to be Muslim and are really not. It is a self-evident fact. Because God has never ordered you to go murder anyone. And a hypocrite is not flesh. A hypocrite is a mind that's in flesh. Flesh has never been a hypocrite. Flesh has always submitted to whatever mind took up residence in it. And when you shed the blood of flesh, you are killing an innocent slave. Is there anyone that disagrees with me on that? Then that alone should make you stop all these wars you got going. See? Told you a bunch of hypocrites. You pretend that you believe in peace and righteousness, but you practice and you do just the opposite. They say Assalamu alaikum, which actually means Allah's peace be unto you. But they open their mouth with everybody's word but Allah's. Except when they're trying to quote where it says, slay them where you find them. They open it then. Because they done found something that they think justifies them committing murder. Well, if you have slain the hypocrites, why you keep finding hypocrites? You can't find none of them in here when I'm teaching. They shut right up. Because he can't fake it with me. A hypocrite is a liar. And a liar shall not tarry in his sight. Soon you're not going to see them tarry on my earth. That's what's coming next. I'm just giving you a heads up. That's all. That's what's coming.
The Forum, Los Angeles, for Muhammad and 20,000 of his closest friends in Los Angeles. I performed a piece that I had created. The imitation had grown into a life story. It's called 15 Rounds. And I play him from the age of 18 until he's 36, ready for the rematch with Leon Spinks. I posted it on the internet last week, footage that nobody had ever seen before, of me portraying Ali, doing his life for him, all those years ago in 1979. There were 20,000 people there, but I was doing it only for him. It's one of my favorite performances that I've ever done in my life. I sort of got lost in him. I didn't even know where I was at the end of the performance. And suddenly I'm backstage with another heavyweight champion, Richard Pryor. And Pryor is holding on to me, crying. And then I see Ali coming. And he's got a full head of steam. He's looking only at me, and he nudged Mr. Pryor aside. And he whispered in my ear with a big bear hug, "Little brother, you made my life better than it was." But didn't he make all of our lives a little bit better than they were? That, my friends, is my history with a man. I've labored to come up with a way to describe the legend. He was a tremendous bolt of lightning, created by Mother Nature out of thin air, a fantastic combination of power and beauty. We've seen still photographs of lightning bolts at the moment of impact, ferocious in its strength, magnificent in its elegance. And at the moment of impact, it lights up everything around him, so you can see everything clearly. Muhammad Ali struck us in the middle of America's darkest night, in the heart of its most threatening gathering storm. His power toppled the mightiest of foes, and his intense light shined on America. And we were able to see clearly injustice, inequality, poverty, pride, self-realization, courage, laughter, love, joy, and religious freedom for all. Ali forced us to take a look at ourselves. This brash young man who thrilled us, angered us, confused, and challenged us ultimately became a silent messenger of peace, who taught us that life is best when you build bridges between people, not walls.
And remember, that lightning that you compared him to was created by a teaching from a man who said he was the messenger of God. Ali would not have been, you'd have never heard the name Ali if he had not met with the man of God who gave him that name. Praiseworthy, most high. And if you read it from right to left, the Most High praised him. That is truer than you think. We always, as Jesus said, how can you believe who receive honor one from another and seek not the honor and praise that comes from the Most High only? The older people used to say to us, we be glowing and going on about what somebody said, and they'd say, son, consider the source. When you get the praise of one above you, you done did a little something. So, we have to say concerning the life and the things that Brother Muhammad stood for. were things that endure, things that last, dignity, self-respect, honor, nobility. Those things transcend generations, transcends colors, transcends all, and those things live forever. And like Paul and like all of those, as Paul called himself, the least of the apostles. But he said, for me to be absent from the body, I will be present with the Lord. And the only thing that's absent now about Ali is that the mind that was in him is absent from that body. But it's still present. Make no mistake. It's still present. So.
My friends, only once in 1,000 years or so do we get to hear a Mozart or see a Picasso, read a Shakespeare. Ali was one of them. And yet, at his heart, he was still a kid from Louisville who ran with the gods and walked with the crippled and smiled at the foolishness of it all. He is gone, but he will never die. He was my big brother. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bryant Gumbel.
The great Maya Angelou, who was herself no stranger to fame, wrote that ultimately people will forget what you said, and people will forget what you did, but that no one will ever forget how you made them feel. As applied to Muhammad Ali, the march of time may one day diminish his boasts and his poetry, maybe even his butterflies and beads. It may even one day dull the memories of the thriller in Manila and the rumble in the jungle. But I doubt any of us will ever forget how Muhammad Ali made us feel. Yeah. And I'm not talking about how proud he made you feel with his exploits, or how special he made you feel when you were privileged enough to be in his company. I'm talking about how he gripped our hearts and our souls and our conscience and made our fights his fights for decades. People like me, who were once young, semi-gifted, and black, will never forget what he freed within us. Some of us like him took pride in being black, bold, and brash. And because we were so unapologetic, we were, in the eyes of many, way too uppity. We were way too arrogant. Yet we reveled in being like him. By stretching society's boundaries as he did, he gave us levels of strength and courage we didn't even know we had. But Ali's impact was not limited to those of a certain race. or of a certain religion, or of a certain mindset. The greatness of this man for the ages was that he was, in fact, a man for all ages. Has any man ever scripted a greater art to his life? What does it say of a man, any man, that he can go from being viewed as one of his country's most polarizing figures to arguably his most beloved? And to do so without changing his nature or for a second compromising his principles. Yeah, you know, there were great causes, there were great national movements, there were huge divisions that afforded Ali unusual opportunities to symbolize our struggles. But Harry Truman had it right when he said men make history and not the other way around. Or as Lauryn Hill so nicely put it, consequence is no coincidence. Befitting his stature as the GOAT, Muhammad Ali never shied away from a fight. He fought not just the biggest and baddest men of his day inside the ropes, but outside the ring he also went toe-to-toe with an array of critics, a seemingly endless succession of societal norms, the architects of a vile, immoral war, the U.S. government. He even fought, ultimately to his detriment, the limitations of Father Time. Strictly speaking, fighting is what he did. But he broadened that definition by sharing his struggles with us and by viewing our struggles as his. And so it was that at various times he accepted and led battles on behalf of his race, in support of his generation, in defense of his religious beliefs, and ultimately, in spite of his disease. I happen to have been overseas working in Norway this past week. My buddy Matt called, told me the champ had been taken to the hospital, but this time it was really serious. Right away, I called Lonnie, who was, as always, a pillar of strength. As we discussed the medical details, the doctor's views, and the ugly realities of mortality, Lonnie said, "Ron, the world still needs him." And indeed it does. The world needs a champion who always worked to bridge the economic and social divides that threaten the nation that he dearly loved. The world needs a champion that always symbolized the best of Islam to offset the hatred born of fear. And the world needs a champion who believed in fairness and inclusion for all. Hating people because of their color is wrong, Ali said. And it doesn't matter which color does the hating. It's just plain wrong. Yeah, we do.
And what people didn't never understand because they didn't want to is that they used to try to accuse the Honorable Elijah Muhammad of hating white people because they was white and teaching us to do that. Anybody that knows something about Ali, for instance, you notice Ali, didn't nobody tell him who to like and who not to like. Ali told him himself who he like and who he don't like. Huh? And anybody that know me, I can speak for this. Ain't nobody ever chose my friends for me. You don't tell me who I can run with and who I can't run with. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't teach us to hate anyone. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us the truth. Now, there's no way you're going to tell me you hate slavery, but you don't have some hatred for the one who enslaved you. I'd be lying to you to tell you that I'm in love with white people. No, I'm not in love with white people. But it have nothing to do with because they white. It has to do with what they did to me and what some of them want to continue to do. But I'm going to put a stop to it. That's why I'm offering everybody a chance now. If you part of any kind of group that's unjust, you better get out of it. Separate yourself now. They being formed into groups to be cast into hell. I'm telling you, you better separate yourself from them now. Every tree that beareth not fruit of righteousness shall be hewn down and cast into the fire. Every plant that my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up and cast into the fire. Suit yourself. But anyway, Ali, he learned that from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Hating a man because of his color, it's wrong. I don't care who you are. You go by the color because you didn't know who was up under the color. Man said that man over there in that white suit, he shot that man. It ain't had nothing to do with the suit. Just as the identity that you was trying to point out who you was talking about. Okay, let's let you hear some more.
Muhammad Ali now. We need the strength and the hope, the compassion, the conviction that he always demonstrated. But this time our beloved champion is down. And for once he'll not get up. Not this time. Not ever again. Let me close with a quick personal story. 50 years ago, Muhammad Ali defeated George Chuvalo in Toronto, Canada. The very next day, he showed up in my Hyde Park neighborhood on the south side of Chicago. As Ali got out of a car in the driveway at the home of Elijah Muhammad, I happened to be next door. As Ali got out of a car in the driveway at the home of Elijah Muhammad, I happened to be next door, shooting hoops in a friend's backyard. I, of course, quickly ran to the fence, and for the first time in my life, I shook the champ's hand. I was 17, I was awestruck, and man, I thought he was the greatest. Now, half a century and a lifetime of experiences later, I am still awestruck. And I'm convinced more than ever that Muhammad Ali's the greatest. To be standing here by virtue of his and Lonnie's request It's mine now. The honor that Ali has done me today, as he goes to his grave, is one that I will take to mine. God bless you, Jim.
And I want to give a special thanks to Brian Gumble for reminding people that Muhammad Ali was a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, that's the one thing that even in the message to the black man, these people say that that man was not a man of God. But he wrote what they was going to do, revealed what they was going to do before they did it. And I think I'll just read a little bit of it to you. In the message to the black man here, it says, this was his answer to the critics. He said, the questioner asked the messenger, he asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, well, now, if in time, sir, your grandson Sharif or your son Wallace or Malcolm ever expressed the desire to return to follow you again, would you accept them? The messenger answered it and said, there's nothing unforgivable the Holy Quran teaches you. The only thing that is unforgivable is this, that you will not accept Allah as God and not accept his messenger as his messenger. These two things are one. We say the belief in Allah is the belief in the messenger of or the prophet of Allah. The belief in the messenger or the prophet of Allah is a belief in Allah. If you disbelieve in one, you disbelieve in both. You cannot believe in one and disbelieve in the other. This is the knowledge the world has not realized. And this is what God wants the world to know. When God chooses his representative for the people, he speaks to the people through that representative. And if the people will accept that representative, we call them prophets, apostles, or messengers, then they are accepting Allah. But if they reject him and still say they believe in Allah, they are considered enemies of Allah and disbelievers. Because that is Allah in that representative. And you cannot accept one without accepting the other. You have got to accept both. You cannot get the blessings of Allah if you reject his messenger. Now, these boys that you were referring to, Malcolm and Wallace and Sharif, they do not worry me. I do not give my time arguing with them or talking about why they believe or why they disbelieve. I do not even argue with them because I knew these things in the beginning. I knew they would act like this. Some of them, I was told about this 34 years ago. He said, but they did not know these things. And I'm not excited as the public would be, or as the public would like to see, maybe. In some cases, if the son disbelieves in his father must be wrong. But that is not so when it comes to a messenger of God. If we say that is true, then it stands true in the common life of the family. There are some children who never sincerely accept their father as they should. There are some fathers who never accept their children as they should. So this is in the nature of the human family of the earth. And when it comes to spiritual teachings, it is also the same. Not all of the family of a messenger are such as Noah and Lot. They do not always have true believers, but that did not detract one atom from his messengership. You do not take advantage of that unless you get into war or trouble with God. You do not say, I do not believe in him because his own wife or his own son does not. Why should I follow him? You would be getting yourself in trouble because that is given. I do not care anything about those who fall away from me after I have pointed out the truth to them. And despite this, they get wrong and go away from that truth. I am not responsible for this. For whatever they say against me, it is against themselves. What they preach and tell the people in order to get the people to disbelieve in me is much like Absalom and his father David. Absalom stole the affection of the people because he thought he looked better than and younger than David. He thought, therefore, the people should follow, that he could steal the people over to himself and get rid of his father as king and be king himself. But he was not to be the king. The man that was to be king had yet to be known, and that was Solomon. These facts are all put there to deepen our knowledge, and time repeats these things over and again. And so this is what we face today. And I am not surprised. The public is surprised. Some of them at the deviation of Malcolm or my son Wallace. I'm not surprised. But they cannot, listen to this now, but they cannot yet say that I am not the messenger of Allah. They cannot take that away from me. Not yet. But you notice they even now, some people would like to try and rewrite history as though the Arabs taught Muhammad Ali, when everybody knows better. I was there, so I definitely know better. I didn't get Islam from Arabs. Muhammad Ali didn't get Islam from Arabs. Muhammad Ali got Islam from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, just like me. And so I want you to see that, we don't just say these things. We have proof of what we say. I want you to see that even those who now want to try to pretend that they are the vanguard or the example of Islam, they know better. But they think we done forgot, but we keep records of what you do. The Holy Quran told you that we keep a record of you. This is our record that speaks against you with truth. Surely we recorded what you did.
We will never return again. Assalamu alaikum.
Reverend Jeffrey Jackson of Operation Push for those inspiring words. So my beloved brothers and sisters, we have another great man in our midst. He's an Arabic teacher in our school. I'm going to give way and bring him before you, Professor Baghdad.
Honorable Wallace Muhammad, successor of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the new humble servant of Allah, children of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, family of Muhammad, faithful ministers and followers of Muhammad, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace, mercy of Allah and His blessings be with you. The ambassador of the Arab League, which represents 20 independent Arab governments and other Muslim representatives, has asked me to convey to you, to the family of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the deepest sympathies. I convey to you all the deepest sympathies of 130 million Arabs. I convey to you the deepest sympathies of more than 600 million Muslims in the East. The loss of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not felt here by you alone, but is also felt by us there. We have always loved the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
And the Holy Quran says the hypocrites are surely liars. You told us that you loved the messenger and you loved us, and then you tried to destroy us and tried to replace what the messenger gave us with that which failed you. You don't even have any peace there with that which you call Islam. You found us in unity. You found us on one accord, worshiping Allah and following his messenger. And you pretended that you honored him. And we accepted you into our community. And you tried to destroy our community. And you all but destroyed it. And now comes the judgment of all of you. What is? You thought we didn't have no record of nothing that you had done? This is our record that speaks against you with truth. From your own mouth, from the mouth of all of you over in the East, your representatives praising the Honorable Elijah Muhammad until you got our trust, and then you start saying he did not teach us true Islam. If I was going to accept that doctrine, I sure wouldn't accept it from you, because you are not above lying. Just like WD. He acknowledged that he lied and said that he believed, because he said if I'd went in there and told them that all that wasn't the truth, they'd have ran me out of there. Well, why do you think you need to go to someone and deceive them, manifesting that you don't mind deceiving people? Now they supposed to trust you to be truthful with them? The one thing you can't accuse the Honorable Elijah Muhammad of, and that is of ever pretending that he believed something that he didn't. Muslims are truthful people. Do you hear any argument coming from anyone to me? The dragon stood before the woman, a great red dragon, ready to devour her child as soon as it was delivered. But the child, she gave birth to a man child. Dragon couldn't get the child. The child was caught up to God in his throne. Son of man, sit at my right hand till we make in every town an enemy for you, till we make your enemies your footstool. The earth is his footstool. Now that enemies are everywhere, go forth with the true religion and make it overcome the religions, all of them, though the polytheists may be averse. If I hadn't seen a brother like Muhammad Ali know he was the champion and wasn't scared to say it, and went out there and faced anybody and everybody who thought they might want to prove him wrong, then maybe I wouldn't have had the confidence that I have. I needed that brother at that time to be my example. And he even said something in 70 at that same Savior's Day. He said, this is how I feel. He said, if something happened to all the Muslims and all of them was killed or something happened to them and I was the only one left, he said, I would go out, set me up a little temple and keep on teaching the teachings that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught me. That was said for me. And that brother Ali, he was truly a brother and an inspiration to me. And I'm still inspired by him. And I say to his family, if you hear me, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I don't think the world needs to be trying to take credit for what they didn't do. You notice everybody that actually talks about Ali, they talks about not only just his fighting ability, but they talk about how he took a stand when he had to choose between his religion and money and being able to make a living. He stood up and told this government that I'm a Muslim and I refuse to go and take part in wars that take the life of human beings. I will not go. That is the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And Muhammad Ali said he believed in that teaching. That's not the teachings of Orthodox Islam. That's the teachings of the new Islam. That the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we are bringing to you a new Islam. Because Islam for the past 6,000 years has been the rule of the devil. When the devil said, I will certainly make evil fast seeming to them on earth and cause them all to deviate, Allah told him, that is a right way with me. That is my will for now. But it is not the will now. Is there anyone who say that I got it wrong? So I wish that I could have been received by the Nation of Islam, and it didn't have to fall. But it had to fall because that was prophecy. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it would fall. The Holy Bible, as what you read of Jesus, that was actually a prophecy of us. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, what you read of Jesus in the book, he said that was himself. Jesus, when he was here, he told the people he was Elias, which was for to come. He said, if you will receive it, this is Elias, which was for to come. They said, well, he meant John the Baptist. No, he did not mean John the Baptist. That's what they took him to mean. When they asked John who was he, John said, when they asked him, are you Elias? He said, I am not. You see? So Jesus, when he was here, said, this is Elias, which is for to come. He was letting you know that he was a sign, and that when you saw the man who he was a sign of come, then that would be him in Elias. Do you understand? Any argument? I will discuss it with you if you think you have some kind of argument for me. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as with Jesus, they showed Jesus all the buildings of the temple. Well, the temple had had bakeries, had supermarkets, and everything was under the temple when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was here. And we had all these businesses under the temple. And Jesus said, you see all these things? There shall not be one stone left upon another that shall not be thrown down. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this. Those was Jesus's words. Now he said it like this. He said to his ministers, they were sitting around, they used to report to him and share with him how the businesses were doing. And they were sitting at his table once, and he told them, he said, the nation is going to take a dive and go all the way down to almost nothing. And they was looking all hurt, as Minister Farrakhan put it. They was looking, concerned. The messenger said to them, he said, don't worry. It will be rebuilt, never to fall again. And the mere fact he told them, don't worry, that was a subtle way of telling them that they wasn't the one to rebuild it. And so you notice, I'm building that which won't fall anymore because I'm teaching everybody myself. You have to come into this new nation through me and only me. And if you are here for the wrong reason, you won't last. Because you won't be able to mislead anyone because I'm the only one leading. And even if you try to sow dissension, you won't be able to do that to new believers or nobody else, because all of them got my phone number and they know they can call me and ask me, is this what I teach? So you cannot build anything that will last if you cannot first build a mind that will sustain that which you want to last. So I'm building up a mind in you that you can think and reason and be able to tell when people don't mean you no good. Do you understand? I challenge the world in front of you. That's my way of showing you I have nothing to hide. And I learned that from another champion. His name was Muhammad Ali. You see? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was responsible for raising both of us, a physical champion and the spiritual champion. And if you know of a teacher greater than me in knowledge and understanding, the class is open. Come, let us reason together. Introduce this person, or let this person introduce themselves. You are welcome in here. This is not the forum where we hate light. We love light in here. But know this, the light in here is not darkness. So I have to, I want to honor him in this public way. I wanted to honor Ali in this public way one last time. Because he was not one of the ministers. He was a follower. He was a brother. He trusted the ministers. And whatever he fell for, it was because he trusted those who had been used by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to lay a foundation for the master architect. That means an architect that builds minds. That's me. And so everyone had to be tried. The messenger said, that's only just. Allah had to prove that there is no favorites in his sight. But he that is most favored is the one who is most mindful of his duty. All of the messengers said, keep your duty to Allah and obey me. And me alone should you fear. I didn't forget that. when they start talking about successors to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I didn't forget that he said there is no successor. The very ones who taught me that he said that, they start going against what they said that he said. But I didn't go against it. And I held fast to his words that I knew. Follow not that of which thou hast no knowledge. That's what the Holy Quran says. And so I trusted in Allah's messengers. He shall give his angels charge over thee. And so that's why the messenger told me, he said, look, if you want to talk to Allah, read the Quran. Allah gave his angels charge over me so that I wouldn't stumble. So I trust their words. The Lord is faithful. That's what the word faithful means. It means trusts. Who's full of, he trusts someone. When you trust, you are faithful. Do you understand? That's what faith is. It's trust. In God we have faith. In God we trust. Do you understand? Is there anyone who disagrees? So I know that my brother fell. The scripture says all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, of the man who was fashioned by God. I fell too. But I didn't fall as short as the rest. So he said, because you have a little strength, son of man, I have set before you an open door. And he said, come on. Because I was like that prodigal son. I didn't think I was fit to be called no son of man, especially talking about being the Lord. I know my history. Don't nobody else may. You may not know my frailties and whatnot, but I know them. That's why when the man asked me from the Washington Post in an interview with the Washington Post, he said, well, why are you? I said, that's the same thing I asked, man. Why me? I mean, and he started laughing too. And I said, because I ain't seen nowhere where I could be running around here calling myself somebody's Lord. And I'm knowing some of the stuff I done did. And I said, but apparently Allah decided that it's me, because I understand things that I never understood before. I didn't tell him all of this, but many times I'm standing up here talking to you. And while I'm talking to you, I'm learning. I didn't previously know a lot of things that I'm sharing with you. I just share them when I got up here. That's Allah's way of showing me I'm with you. I don't have to know. He knows. I'm a willing receiver. And so Allah set before me an open door. He said, seek and you shall find. So when my mind falls on something, I have a quick understanding. He's made me of a quick understanding. So I look so much forward to these meetings, and you notice people don't waste my time coming in to tell me how much they enjoy what I'm teaching and all of that, because I stopped them. I fuss at a person in a minute. Don't be stopping me just to tell me you enjoying what I'm teaching. Did you do that in your classes at school? The teacher stand up there teaching, you stand up there. Oh, I really enjoy this. They wasn't there so much as for your enjoyment. They was there for your learning. Now, if you want to go after class and tell them, oh, I sure did learn a lot today. Well, they appreciate you that. And they send you now, you get on the class. You got another class to go to. Because you got a lot more to learn. And the wisdom that I have to share with you, it's not here to impress you. I'm here to teach you, guide you, not to entertain you. Sitting up clapping and going, I don't need that. Elijah went into the scriptures with a whirlwind of emotions coming from people. Not me. Because I was told to recite and teach you the messages. Elijah was told to find and raise up the teacher. And he did that. He had thousands of ministers. And he put words in their mouth. He said, Reverend, I'm not trying to stop you from preaching. I just want to give you the right text. He knew what he was doing. So each one of them he sent out there was identical. Like when you put your life germs in a woman. All of them are identical. And each one of them have the ability to fertilize that egg if it can reach it. Well, likewise, one of his ministers reached me. And with his words, with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's words in his mouth, he raised me. Even though he may not have believed them words himself. But, just like the reproductive fluid that we all come from, most people don't even care to look at it. It's a despised fluid. People don't want it on them. Right? And don't be showing me none. Right? But that's where we came from. People didn't want the Muhammad Speak newspaper. Don't bring that mess in here. Why? Because to them, it sounded like racism. But what it really was the life-giving teachings that would raise the Lord himself. You see? And here I am, standing here talking to you, telling the whole world I'm the Lord. Where's the detractors and where are the people who can argue that that's not me? Muhammad Ali used to stand up and tell people he was the greatest. They didn't like that. But after a while, they start calling him the greatest. Because he whooped everybody that they sent after him. Is that right? And I done whooped everybody that came in here and called themselves going to argue with me. Whoop them with truth. We take truth and hurl it against falsehood. So it knocks out its brains. How do you know it knocks out its brains? When a man is knocked out, he can't hear you counting. You remember Sonny Liston said he couldn't hear the count? He couldn't hear the count because he was knocked out. Do you understand? Went to get up and fell over again. He didn't even remember falling over. But it was show on the. You can't fake that. Huh? You go and listen to Geno Jennings and myself. And you, that's a good example. You get to one part in there, Geno Jennings, he forgot himself. And he said, and what does that mean? He was asking me to teach him. You see? By the time he came to himself, he had to cut it off. Hour and a half. He didn't want to go no another hour and a half with me. Because everything he tried to come with, I showed that he didn't know what he was talking about. Man gonna try to tell me they had slavery in Africa. I let him go and say that kind of stuff. And I told him, you know good and well that they didn't have the kind of slavery in Africa that they had here. They had indented servitude, and it was called slavery. That's not what happened here in America. You couldn't in the teachings, when you had a man working off his debt, he was your slave. You had to feed him with the food you ate. You had to clothe him with the clothing that was decent, like you wear, and everything. That's not the kind of slavery that we suffered here in America. We suffered affliction. In all of their affliction. Didn't say in all their slavery. In all their affliction, he was afflicted. Yes. So here I am. Slain at the beginning of this present civilization here. The mind that was in us was killed. We really was saying it right when we said, it's your world, I'm just living in it. I ain't had nothing to do with this. So all the evil that's going on with it, for you to try to suggest now that I'm some kind of way responsible for all of this, you can't call me the devil. You did this. I tried to get you to stop. Willingly. You're not going to stop willingly. So, by Allah's power and command, I'm going to stop you. So, to our brother and many of my brothers, like Muhammad Ali and like so many of them. I thought that we was going to all be together forever. You know, man, you just don't know. I mean, I don't just remember the bad things. I remember all of the good that I found in the Nation of Islam. Brothers who were perfect strangers to each other. We'd walk up to each other, and at that time we just say, Salaam alaikum. And I'm brother so-and-so. And this brother, I'm from New York, I'm brother so-and-so. We'd hug each other like we've been knowing each other all our lives. And meant it. That was the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The, you know, if a brother was stopped by police or whatnot, we wasn't going for bad or nothing, but we give them their space and we stand there and watch. If it was a group of us or just one of us. I remember this one time I saw one of our lieutenants had been stopped by the police. I walked over there, and when they knew anything, I was right there and talking to the lieutenant. Said, "Are you all right, brother?" And he said, "Yes, sir." And they told me, "You move along." And I looked at him, told him, "This is my brother." And Lieutenant Johnny told me, he said, "It's all right. You go on." Then I left. You know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that we should love one another with our lives. And I had never been as close to my mother's children as I was to my Muslim brothers. The words of Jesus jumped off the page when I joined the Nation of Islam. Whosoever doeth the will of my Father, the same is my mother and my brother and my sister. And I remember just, so many, I mean, Muhammad Ali was our big brother. He was our brother, a Muslim. When nobody's starstruck or nothing like that, he was a Muslim brother that made us all proud. And if the world may try to claim him, but they know he was ours. And we were his. When he stood up, he stood for the Muslims. He stood up for the teachings of Islam that was carried and taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and that all the Muslims believed in that were following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he represented us well. He did us proud. And later, because when he first did that, the world condemned him. Just like when Jesus was among these people, they condemned him. But now they love him, huh? Okay. Then what does that say about your foreparents or your forebearers? Your love for him now condemns those who crucified him. Condemns your world that you still upholding. And where you thought racism and all of that was dead in this country, now you see the deadly wound is healed. And the man standing up there talking about, let's make it great again. Miss Clinton told the truth on it. I heard her say, what do you want? You want to go back to what? If you say you want to make it great again, that means you want to go backward. Backward to what? Bigotry? Open racism? Yeah, that's exactly what he means. So I'm giving everybody a chance to get out of them bundles that you done joined if they don't stand for what you believe in. And our brother Ali, this here's best tribute I can, because it kind of, it's funny how songs say in a few words, just a few little minutes, what sentiments that the heart feels that you may not be able to readily find the words for. That's why Prophet Muhammad, you know, songs are poetry. You do know that, right? In poetry, Prophet Muhammad said the poets are kin to the prophets. I've told you that before. That's in his hadiths. And you read some poetry and stuff. Haven't you seen some Mother's Day cards and birthday cards and cards of condolences and stuff like that that said just what you wanted to say and couldn't find the words? Huh? Isn't that something? So this song does that. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh outweigh the bad. I thought we'd get to see forever, but forever has gone away. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. I don't know where this road is gonna lead to, my friend. All I know is where we've been and what we've been through. If we get to see tomorrow, I hope it was worth all the pain. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. And I will take with me the memory to be my sunshine after the rain. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. And I'll take with me the memories to be my sunshine after the rain. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. You know, the reason it's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday is because you cannot really say goodbye to history unless you want to lose yourself. You know, it's like people they want to ignore. That's the one thing that why, you know, cowards cannot preach Islam. Because in order to really teach the truth, you inevitably, in order to tell the truth on anyone, you have to bring up history. You cannot forget history and claim that you know the truth. History is the best rewarder of all research that you can do. History is the best rewarder of those who seek the truth about any person, place, or thing. You must look at that thing's history. You must look at the history of that place. You must look at the history of that person. Because your history is what you have been doing. You want to know what to expect from a person in the future? Look to see what they've done in the past. Do you understand? I had another subject I wanted to teach you tonight, but it's getting so late that I'm going to wait and take it up with you Sunday. And I want to... Yes?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to know if I could share an experience that I had as a teenager. Another sister and I with Muhammad Ali.
Yes, ma'am, you may.
When you sang that song, it just brought back, you know, some sad memories because, well, I received my ex as a teenager on Temple number 18 in Cleveland, Ohio. And Muhammad Ali, he visited Temple number 18. I received my ex as a teenager, and her name was Sister Mary. We went to junior high school together. We met in junior high. And I wanted to be a Muslim, and when I found out she was a Muslim, you know, I just hung out with her and her grandmother. You know, they would take me to the temple. And so her grandmother wanted to move closer to the temple, you know, because the ride was kind of long. And so they moved right around the corner from the temple. And so Muhammad Ali, we didn't know, I don't know if we knew or we may not have known, Muhammad Ali visited the temple. He was speaking there, you know, that weekend. And so all of a sudden we were just we were just walking, okay, walking to the temple. And so he always drew crowds of people, of course. And so we just fitted in with the crowd. We were just walking. And so we're on our way to the temple. And so we didn't know we were walking right in back of Muhammad Ali. And so Muhammad Ali turned around and he said, "Assalamu alaikum, sisters." And we like to had died. I just wanted to that was the most memorable memory for me that I would never forget. And Mary did turn she turned Christian, but I continued to be a Muslim, but she turned Christian. But I just wanted to share that, and I thank Allah, for that memory. It will live with me forever. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. Thank you, son of man.
You're welcome.
May Allah
Thank you.
salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum ala salam. I want to say this. Many people, that teaching that the messenger had gave us, it frightened people. Because our people were afraid of white people, and they didn't really understand that it was deeper than what they thought it was. They thought, on the surface, it sounded like racism, and it frightened our people. But it was necessary for him to teach it the way he taught it to reach me. Because, I was, I have never been a person that you could make a racist out of if you wanted to, because that's just not me. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was prepared to raise me. And like my daddy, he used to say, right is right and wrong is wrong, and right don't wrong nobody. And that statement has such depth of meaning. And I remember how my dad was the same with all people. Black, white, didn't make him no difference. And when I saw how he interacted with all people, I mean, that if you was low down, he called you that. If you was a decent person, he called you a decent person. And he called everybody, whether they was black or white. When he talked to other men, if he didn't know him, he called. If he wasn't really, and even if he did know him, he would always call them Mr. He called out people younger than him Mr. I remember Mr. Mac Frazier, Mr. Hoffman, and they all called each other Mr. And that's just the way it was. And they say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, and no, sir, to each other. And, they had an air of dignity about them. And I would like to think that my dad, matter of fact, I know he was proud when I stood up. He didn't say it, but he showed it. When I became a Muslim, he started telling me things that had happened to him that he had never mentioned before, to none of us. Things that white people had did to him. And even my mother, she told me what happened when we left Mississippi. The white man came to them and they were sharecropping, and he said, well, you owe me for that refrigerator and some other things. she said, keep it. And, you know, she said that's what she told me. Well, you just keep it all. You know, wasn't trying to take nothing with them. Just pack their family up and get out of here. And but they never, even then. My mother didn't have no crosswords to say for them. Period. That was as much as she told me. She said, I just told him to keep it. And she left. And my dad, I never heard him refer to anyone by slurs, like, you know, cracker, peckerwood, and all that stuff. My daddy didn't talk like that. He called white people. And he called, you know, our people. If he, and I done heard him called, that's a low down scoundrel over there. And, you know, but that could have been anybody. If he thought you was low down, he called you that. And you wasn't no white one or black one. You was just a low down scoundrel. And so he was a good man. He called you a good man. You know, that's the way it was. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he knew that I would be raised up by that teaching of his, and I would be able to explain it to the rest. The Arabs and the people who speak Arabic fluently, that's what I mean by that, not just people from Arabia. I'm talking about those in the East that are fluent in the Arabic reading of the Holy Quran. They couldn't explain our teachings to us. They condemned it. They tried to condemn it. And they were able to condemn it in the eyes of the ignorant. You see? And yet you heard their representative praising the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he first passed, right? Well, he ain't changed because he passed. So what's done changed? If he was a great man when he passed, what has changed? Only thing happened is we have found out that you didn't mean what you said to us. You were only trying to deceive us. There are some people who say we believe in Allah in the last day, and they are not believers. They seek to deceive Allah and those who believe, and they deceive only themselves, and they perceive not. You see, that's what has taken place. But I know it's late. You all got to go. So I'm going to let you go. But if it pleases Allah, Sunday, I will teach you on these things further. You'll notice the one thing that you see me do, that you never see anyone else who claimed to be following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad do. I hold open classes, and whatever I say, I stand ready for anyone who would like to say that that's not what he taught, or that's not the teachings or whatnot. I'm the only one who does that. That's why the messenger, he described me in these words. He said that he comes out himself to be the champion. and lead the righteous to victory. He was talking about me. And I'm here not, he even told you, he said that that he hath made himself present among us. And I have. How did the black God come? He said. He was from an atom of life. He once referred to himself as this little atom. Yeah, just an atom of life rolling around in darkness, roaming the streets in North America among black people in darkness. What color is darkness? Black. And he says, building up himself. Well, he built up a nation, traveling, running from one state to the other, building up a nation. Well, that was the girl. If you want to produce a little baby, you got to produce first a womb. As the messenger said this, I'll give you a little depth of understanding of his sayings. He said he wanted a different human being than himself. Well, he was Elijah. They was calling him the Lamb. He said, I'm little. He said, I don't know how much is lamb about me, but I know I'm very little. And he knew they wasn't paying no attention. But anyway, he wanted a different human being than himself. If Allah sent him back to the grave to find me, then he was looking for a different human being than himself. So he made a woman by studying himself. He made a womb for the mind that he wanted to give birth to. By Allah gave him 104 books to find and study. He made a woman by studying himself. A woman is a school of thought. That's what the temple was. A temple is not a place of prayer, it's a place of teaching. A mosque is a house of prayer. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he went around the country setting up temples. Kind of like when, you remember when Jesus, it was time for Jesus' birth, Joseph went looking for places to give birth to the child, and all of the inns were full. So he went in, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad went around the country renting places to give birth to the mind that would be known as Son of Man. He went around the country renting Masonic temples, Masonic halls, places that the Masons had and moved on. Even the one in Los Angeles, it used to be called the Elks Hall on Central and Santa Barbara. And it had been deserted, and, it was sitting there dilapidated and being run down. And Minister Abdul Kareem went and purchased it. And we went over there and fixed it up. Made a beautiful temple out of it and school. And that is just what, they did, they took a stable and turned it into a place where the baby could be born. And when the messenger saw all of the businesses and stuff that Minister Abdul Karim and the temple number 27 was doing out there, he told them, he said, look like the sun is rising from the west. And he knew I was there. He had felt my presence. And so he got back up and started teaching again. But anyway, so he made a woman by studying himself. He made a nation and set up temples. By all of that studying he had been done, he learned how to do it. And then it said he made a woman secondly, made a nation secondly, so that this would solve his problem of a search for another man. Yeah. So I was that other man he was looking for. As he said that Allah had another little book that he was preparing. He said, well, he already got it prepared. He said he's just waiting on a certain time to give it to me. And that certain time to give me to him was at Savior's Day, officially 1973. He gave me to him then. And that's where he said, our Savior has arrived. Yeah. So, and if you don't believe I'm the Savior, it couldn't be nobody else, because I'm the only one who stand up in front of the world, and the world have to shut up at him. And if a man gonna save you from being deceived by people, he need to first show that he can shut everybody up. I think I've done that repeatedly. Huh? Does anyone disagree? Well, then bear witness. The Savior has arrived. So, I have the true religion, and I'm offering it to you. You better take it while that offer's still good. All right. You know, a brother called me today, and he was telling me that he said he sure would like someone to open up a restaurant where Muslims, where you can get good food. And I told him, I said, brother, I'm not here to carry y'all. I said, I tell you what you do. You find someone who wants to open up a restaurant, give them my number, tell them, give me a call. I'll help them. I'll help them open it up if they qualify. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to carry you. If you too lazy and trifling to how many other people, you don't want no help if it ain't coming from white people, huh? Well, okay, you go ahead. You don't want to be have to say that the Son of Man helped me, because you don't want me to be the Son of Man. Well, that's on you. That ain't on me. I could have helped all of you. I could have made you the most progressive, enlightened people that ever lived on this planet. But you wouldn't have it. So, okay. So that's fine. I was told what to expect. So you ain't surprising me. And if I asked brother to unmute his phone, he would tell you that I told him just that. And yeah, I told him, find somebody. I'll be glad. I want to help you. I want to show you that you can help yourselves. That's all I'm doing with the money you gave me. I'm helping you with the money you gave me. That's what governments do. The police force that patrol your community, that came from your tax money. The Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps that defends this nation, that came from your tax money. The tanks and the fighter jets and the bullets, the bombs, the guns, all of that came from your tax money. The government uses it to do things for you as a nation. I mean, I ain't reinventing no wheel. I just have sense enough to see how governments do, and I will do that for you. But you don't give me no tithes. You give me no offerings. You give me a few pennies, and then sit back and what? He don't ask you for it. He just take it. You get your check, they tell you what they took out of it. And then you will give it too. But I don't want nothing I got to take from you. You don't want to give it. I mean, for you to hate me is to hate your own self. You got to hate yourself when you see that all a man is doing is trying to help you. And then you act like you gave me something. You ain't gave me nothing. I didn't ask you for nothing, but to help me to help you. You didn't even have to ask me what you're doing with the money. You see what I'm doing with it. I show you. So, I don't know nothing else to do. What is it that you require of me before you will agree that I'm the one that I'm telling you I am? What is it you want? You claim there's other leaders out here, then why you can't bring one in here and I even said he can host my broadcast. Whether it be Minister Farrakhan, Silas, any of the people. He can be white or black, I don't care. And he can tell me when I can speak. I know how to be a guest and I know how to be a host. And whether I'm the guest or the host, I have all the trumps. I got all the trump cards. And that's not something I believe. Belief leaves room for doubt because you don't really know. I know who I am now. But don't nobody else know but the Father. You either believe me or you don't. But I've taken away your right to say you disbelieve, because a man that disbelieves needs a reason. Give me your reason for disbelieving. And I will show you your reason is invalid. All right. I'm going to tell you again, you better get out of these groups that that preach hate, these groups that preach racism, these groups that believe in injustice and lying on people. If you part of a judicial system, if you part of this stuff that they doing against Dr. Cosby, you better distance yourself if it ain't already too late, because I done already made an adjudication about that. But I told you what was going to happen. I told them that all them attacks on President Obama, I told them it was going to be treated like they attacked me. And look at them now. Look how in disarray they are. After all that racist behavior they showed against President Obama, only because he's black. Now want to try to pretend that they're not racist, because they got a racist at the head of on the top of their ticket now. You practiced racism, and now you got somebody who is racist representing you. Here to show you how really, I mean, you can tell that everybody knows that that's what's going on, because here this man is not planning on showing his tax returns. When everybody knows that that's something that has been required of every presidential candidate. They want to know how you getting your money and what you've been doing with it up to now. How come they're not interested in where he getting his money and what he been doing with it up to now? Why? Because they think that they are about to spring their racism and foolishness on. Do you know you got people out there that think they can provoke a race war and get black people to come against them so they can justify murdering you? Yeah, that's what they think they preparing for. But the only thing they preparing for is their own destruction. I promise you. You see. You're going to learn to fear me. Make you do what you was planning to do to us. I make you do it to yourself. You see. You done seen people go crazy and cut themselves up and do all kinds of stuff. That ain't hard. You'll see. Anyway, you go on playing, boy. I should say boys and girls. Anyway, let me let you go. It's late. May Allah bless us and keep us safe. And more importantly, in our right minds. Those of us who are ready to submit to him. May Allah's Salaam Alaikum.
Your conference recording has stopped. Your conference recording has stopped.